Salute to all the legion of Nick brethren out there. Back with another quick analysis on a top prospect playing in the 2020-2021 college season. This time is Brandon Boston from University of Kentucky. UK played their first game of the season against Morehead State on Wednesday, November 25th, dominating Morehead State by a score of 81-45. Obviously, we can't be too harsh or effusive of Brandon given that it's his first game, but there were definitely some interesting aspects to his game that can be pointed out, but on the positive and on the negative side. In watching the game, I felt that Brandon was somewhat passive, or possibly not heavily featured, given the fact that the team, including Brandon, featured 4 freshmen in the starting lineup. Other freshmen included Devin Askew, who put up 12 points on 5 for 9 shooting, Terrence Clark, who also put up 12 points on 5 for 9 shooting, and Isaiah Jackson put up 9 points on 4 for 5 shooting. Given that Morehead State seemed to feature a lot of zone, the so-called inactivity off ball by BJ Boston may have been warranted, as spacing is more important in breaking down a zone versus constant movement. However, and maybe selfishly so, you'd like to have seen BJ to be a lot more active throughout the game, but again, the team has a lot of young talent, so to expect BJ to be the ultimate star of the game is rather unfair. So let's start with the positives I observed, one of them being Boston's physical leverage and balance through contact. It was so fun to see him use his length to make contested layups with just those few inches of his arms, or the length and the hang time on his jumps afford the benefit when finishing at the cup. One of these instances occurred in the second half around 8:52, where he gets the handoff from Askew and proceeds to drive against Morehead State's KJ Hunt Jr. Hunt Jr., who's only 6'3", was no match against Boston straight up. But the true beauty of the play was as Boston was about to execute at the rim. Hunt essentially cut off any easy angle Boston had at just going straight at the rim at its center. So Boston's only real angle after gathering his feet was to stretch his right arm at a somewhat challenging angle and make the layup. But lo and behold, Brandon Ingram Jr. over here, BJ Boston, was able to stretch and make that layup. Very nifty play where his physical attributes dominates a smaller player even when the angle isn't there. Another positive in regards to Boston's body leverage was at 5:32 in the second half, where Boston gets the pass at the wing on a fast break. Boston has 6'4" guard Taylor Cooper of Morehead State play straight up on him, but Boston takes one dribble, lowers his shoulders a little bit on Cooper as he takes 2 more steps to his right and hits the quick fadeaway. It's a nice shot that displays Boston's ability to feed off of contact and absorb it to realign his own shot. It's a mid-range shot you've seen executed by adept skinny tall forwards like KD or Brandon Ingram, who have hit them on a constant basis in the NBA. And if Boston can become a judo master on those absorption hits from the defense, he can be even more dangerous as he builds out the rest of his offensive repertoire, especially when driving to the basket. Now, I already mentioned the qualms I had in regards to his aggressiveness or his assertiveness throughout the game. But again, it's his first game, 4 freshmen on the team, all is forgiven. But another negative that I saw that I hope is not going to become a theme throughout the season was on his defense, where he tended to show little interest or awareness in shutting down his own man. For instance, at 18:49 in the first half, Boston gets matched up with the 6'6" forward James Baker above the right wing. Boston proceeds to play extremely close on him with the same close hip stance that you would play on somebody if they were posting up on you, or if you're a really good shifty defender who can slide with their man in an instant. Boston was better off giving him a little space and sitting on his hips to mirror Baker's movements. And if Baker is dumb enough to launch a 3 from that distance, Boston's height and the laws of probability would most likely be on his side. But Baker goes on to drive with little resistance from a stuck Boston and draws a shooting foul. Just an overall bad display of defensive acumen. Another instance was in the first half at 7:15. Boston switches on to the twitchy 6'3" guard Drew Thewell on a pick play. Although Thewell would be tough to guard for most taller players, Boston did not shift his hips and got caught on Thewell's crossover back to his left, where he then gets deeper into the paint for a floater that missed. Again, poor defensive positioning and discipline. But this isn't to say that he doesn't have the physical gifts to be a terror, one-on-one against ball handlers or on the passing lanes. Go look at his recovery defense in the first half around 17:06 that resulted in an air ball by guard Devin Cooper. On the first half, with 4 seconds left to go, where his recovery defense resulted in a partially blocked desperation shot by Devin Cooper. Or go look at his steal on the error pass by guard Taylor Cooper at 19:27 in the first half. And yes, Boston is being assessed largely on his offense, but defense can be just as an effective weapon and impact on the game. Look at how dominant KD became once he became a two-way player. Although he was on a stacked Golden State Warriors team, but nonetheless, he was uber dominant on both ends of the floor because of his concentration on defense. The physical attributes are there for Boston. It'll just be the discipline and desire to improve on it. However, that was mostly it on Boston. Nothing too crazy or glaring. Would like to see him display more change of pace skills when driving to the cup, and I think his jump shot will begin to flow better as he gets more comfortable on the court. I did see the form change from here to there, but it's the first game. He's getting warmed up. He'll probably have the proper coaching to make him more consistent on that end, so really no worries in the first game. But as the season progresses, we will see where UK will have to rely on his size, athleticism, and touch to get them through against tougher opponents. But stay tuned as I continue to cover top NBA prospects in this year's college basketball season. Peace, salute, and God bless.